أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم علمنا من ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا من فضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. Right, welcome to Quranic, the Connecting to the Quran 1 year Quranic Arabic course. We're very blessed. Why? Because we're in the first days of Dhul Hijjah now. And so these are very blessed times, and so this is when we're starting. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put barakah in this, and that we see it through to its end, and that also that we put barakah in our intentions. And our intentions are the most important thing. Why? Not because of some fluffy reason that, I have this righteous intention, so that means I'm going to see it through. But if you just come down to what I'm going to do, actually, because I think Arabic's going to be on its own. So, Naveed, could you bring that table across and then, I think there's enough space for three of them. Yeah, if you take that chair. Yeah, I think, as long as you've got three on there, I think it's fine, because it's 2-2, there's going to have to be three of you anyways. Okay, so just make some space for that. So, intentions are really important. Why? Because it's going to keep you motivated. And the biggest issue that we have with anything that's a challenge is your motivation. At the beginning, everyone's motivated. This is something new, fresh, exciting. But then, once it gets challenging, you've got to have a bit more dedication. That's when a lot of people, they struggle. What gets you through that? It's your motivation. Not because it's difficult. And I want to stress that for example, I flunked my GCSEs, I flunked my A-levels, and I ended up doing Arabic. Why was it that I was successful at Arabic? It was my motivation. Why? I was awful at Arabic as well. Until I became Muslim, I had a motivation. What was that motivation? The key one is, I've got this new world in front of me. I want to know, I'm frustrated that I don't know this, and everyone else does. So I need to learn this. I want to learn this, and I want to understand this new religion I've got. That was a motivation, and that's what got me through, and I actually became the best student in the class because of that motivation. I believe that really was a key factor. And so I want us to just, some of you may have already come with intentions. Intentions can change as well. So if you see on the first page, it's on page, how long is it, 2, is it?
2,
yeah. On 2, there's an actual box there. Now this box, it's not that you fill it out necessarily today. I want you to fill it up with things that come to you that are intentions. Okay? So for example, I'll give you my intention. My intention behind this course is that I'm going to see every single one of you till the end. Okay? I'm going to do my utmost, and I want all of you to be here. And I'm going to try my best to keep you all in here until the end. I don't want any dropouts. Okay? That's my intention. I'm going to visualise that, I'm going to see that. That's going to keep me motivated, even when, I get frustrated with you sometimes, you'll get frustrated with me. I'm going to say, no, I'm going to make sure that you understand and that you keep motivated as well. That's very, very important to me. So that's one of my key motivations. I gave you one, if you attended the open day, I mentioned that who was one of my most successful students last year. It was someone that I didn't even expect to do well at Arabic, honestly, to tell you the truth. He'd never done any languages, wasn't that academic, but yet he saw it through to the end, and he was one of my most successful students. Middle-aged, I didn't expect him to. I said to him, what was your intention? He says, my intention is that I want to understand what the Imam is reciting next time we're here. Not all of it, obviously, I'm not expecting that sort of miracle, but I'm going to grasp some of it. See, he had something that he could visualise, and it was specific. So not like, I want to understand the Quran so I can understand what's in my prayer. That's a good intention, but it's not specific still. You may, by this time, I want to be able to do this and achieve this. This is what I mean by intention. See, and that doesn't have to come to you necessarily now. Okay? It could come to you through the course, that something grabs you and you say, I want to understand that. That is the key. So he succeeded. But right to the end, because he had that specific intention, by next year, he set himself a date. I want to be able to understand the Imam, specific place, in Ramadan, in the mosque, and he could actually visualise himself doing that. Visualisation is a really powerful tool, because your mind, it's, in psychology, if you lock onto something and you imagine it as if it's happening now, it motivates you even more. So that's really, really key. Motivation, I can't stress that enough. It's not about something being difficult, because for some of us getting out of bed is difficult. But what motivates us is something, I've got to pay for the bills. You know, that's an intention, and that gets people through and makes them achieve things in a day that they have to do. So I just wanted to ask you, if any of you wish to share any of your intentions that you have. Anyone got any intentions? It could be as general as anything, it could be as specific as anything, and we can work on that through the weeks. Has anyone got a specific intention?
Just to understand the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better.
So when you open the Quran, okay, you want to understand what's actually on the page when you're reading the Quran. Okay, that's really important. That I stress is that we have a regular reading of Quran, preferably daily, but whatever you can muster, you know, in the week. That this is key to the course, and that's key to your motivation. Why? Because I'm teaching you 80% of the vocabulary, and so that means that's in the Quran, so you're going to see this vocabulary regularly, and that's a massive motivator, because you're opening the Quran and you're thinking, oh my, I know this word, and you see that and that motivates you. I'm picking up this sentence, I can see the sentence structure and why it's got this here and why it's got that. It doesn't just suddenly, I can translate it, but that you're picking up things. I know why that's there. That's what it's going to be like for you at the beginning. You won't be able to translate the full sentence, but you'll say, I know why that's doing that, I know why this is doing that. And that's a massive motivator. And so open it, because a lot of the time you think in language, you think, I'm not getting anywhere. Okay? I've been studying for 6 months, I don't think I know anything. But when you open up the Quran, you say, well, did you know this 6 months ago? That's key that, to see your progress, to actually map your progress. Okay? So very good. Anyone else got any other intentions? Yeah, go on, Khalid.
Be able to translate simple sentences.
Okay, yeah. Very good. So by the end of the year, you want to be able to pick up certain simple sentences within the Quran and actually pick up what's going on. Yeah, fantastic. Anything else?
Just be able to understand the Qasa'id.
Okay, yeah, well the language isn't specific to that, so that's slightly different. I said that we've got a specific focus, which is Quran. And so, you know what, one intention they were talking about in the last lesson was, the rise of Alzheimer's and dementia. Okay, one of the key problems with Alzheimer's and dementia is because we're not stimulating our minds constantly. And Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhuma, him and his father, Allah be pleased with them, he said whoever memorises the Quran will never go senile in his old age. Why? It's not just because it's memorised, which obviously has a massive factor, it's because you're going to see the Quran is incredibly stimulating. You're going to see, why has Allah said it like this? Why has he not said it like that? So when you're actually reading the Quran, it's not just when you're reading it. Rather, when you're actually reading it, you're stimulating your mind. Why is it like this? Why is it like that? And so it's very engaging. And that's very good. I used to always wonder why maths. We study maths. I consider I hated maths. Now I realise at my age, it's important because it's like a muscle. Your brain's like a muscle, and you've got to use it like take it to the gym. And maths is gym for the brain. So you're going to see the Quran, and people who have a background in maths, they will actually find the Quran very stimulating because it's very systematical. It's very methodical in its approach. Okay. Yes. So.
Similarly with the Quran, just being able to reflect, ponder, and contemplate.
So have more
or words.
Very good. So I want to be able to. So I want to see how the Quran in Arabic moves me because of the language and makes me reflect more. You're going to see when you read it in there. Keep coming. I'm going to do something back. I'm going to move you. You've got a partner, so come down.
I'll actually prepare some.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Do you need something to pray on?
I've got
So that's intentions, and I said you don't have to do those intentions, you don't have to go over those intentions straight away, and they will change, I believe. So that box is something to look back to as we're studying, and always when you're feeling a little demotivated or something, look back at that intention. Why were you studying? That's really, really important. I can't stress that enough. Okay, another thing about learning is that we've got to celebrate confusion. Okay. A big problem is that when we start getting confused, we think, oh my God, that's it. I don't get this. I'm a failure. Yeah, the mindset has got to change with confusion. Confusion is the first step to learning. Okay? And so when you're confused, you're like, wow, how am I going to learn this? Ask that question, how? And your brain just automatically locks on to how to solve the problem. But if you're telling yourself, I can't believe I can't understand this, and you start beating yourself up about it, you're just going to make yourself feel negative. And so when you feel confused, that's something that's positive. Stop seeing it as negative. That's really, really important as well. So if you are confused, please ask. In the lessons, they're very interactive. I'm going to be coming around the tables, seeing you filling out the exercises. I want you to question me and ask me. There's no such thing as a stupid question, except a question that's not asked. Yeah? And sometimes you might think, you might think, I can't ask that question, I feel a bit daft, and someone else has got the same issue. You might even not even have thought of that issue. And then because you've raised it, now he thinks about it. That's really, really important as well. Okay? Last thing I'm going to talk about in terms of method of learning is this mnemonic. Okay? Fast. What's the key to fast learning? Okay? The first thing is forget. Now you think, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I've got to learn. How am I going to come into the lesson and forget that you've even got a life outside of the lesson? Okay? I know it might cause some people in the class panic attacks, but ideally turn your mobile phones off or put them on autopilot, on flight mode. Because you want to completely lose yourself in the lesson, be absorbed. If you've got distractions, then you've got things going on in your mind. It's going to affect your learning. And so try to forget everything just for this. Obviously, I remember one guy in the lesson, I said, why have you got your mobile on? And he says, my wife's in delivery. So if it's an emergency like that, then no problem. And the next time I played that joke, I says, why have you got your mobile on? Is your wife in delivery? He went, no, she's actually on the next table behind me. And I was and most of the time, please try to cut off from distractions if it's possible. Okay, so forget, that's really important for learning. Absorb yourself in the lesson. Have this as me time. This is your me time when you're completely just forgetting about everything else. Next one, in the lesson, I want you to be active. Okay? So even when look, this might seem a bit weird, but it works. Even when I'm saying things, when I'm teaching you, I want you to repeat back what I'm saying. It's not pantomime, but it's reinforcing it. Okay, so these simple things, they have a massive effect. And so we've got forget and we've got active. When I say these things, you say them back to you. You don't have to shout it out, but you say it to yourself just to reinforce it. When I give you a grammar rule, when we're talking about something, you repeat it. And so that way you're reinforcing things for yourself. Okay, I want you to be active in the lesson. Now, when I say active though, I know some of you are doing this now, and it's not a problem. When we actually go into the grammar rule, when we're explaining something, I want you to sit back and just relax in that way, because you can't do two things at once. When you're writing, you might miss something. And so that's why it's ideal before the lesson, you've read through the material beforehand, and just got a general idea. Even done the exercises before a lesson, though that's very, very effective. And then you do them again, because it reinforces. That's really the ideal. But at least you've gone through the material, just had a brief read through it before. So when I'm saying this grammar point, say Arabic's broken into 3 different words, what are they? You can answer for me, because you've already looked at it. That's reinforcing it for you now. The big problem in learning is when you come to the lesson, you've looked at nothing. What happens? Within half an hour, your brain goes dead, because you're overwhelmed. You're like, oh my God, this is just too much information for me. And it's late at night as well. When it's 7 to 9 in the morning, sometimes your brain's fresher. At this time, you might come back from work and tired. And so it's really key that you look over before the lesson. It speeds up the learning process for everyone. And so try to do that to the best of your ability. And I will do a bit of that in the revision class online as well. I won't just revise the lesson. If we've got time, I'll go in the last 15 minutes, we'll just go over what we're going to see in the next lesson. And so I try to do as much of that together with us. Okay, that's on the online class. Okay, so active in the lesson. Constantly asking something, not the traditional Islamic learning that we've got is you all sit back and you listen to me lecture. That's not going to be the case. Okay, we've got to be active in throwing questions to you asking as much as you can. If you want me to reiterate something, to say it again, let's be as active as we can in this. That's really, really important. Next one, state. And so obviously, if you're slouching and you're sitting, it affects your learning. So sitting up, being attentive, Okay, when you see yourself nodding off a bit, I can see it in the eyes as well when it happens. Okay, that we catch ourselves and we just try to be in the right state of mind. And one of the best ways to be in the right state of mind is this. The last one is teach. Imagine, Shahid, that at the end of this lesson, you're not going home at 9 o'clock and no one else is. As soon as I finish this lesson, what am I going to do? I'm going to make you teach this lesson. Just imagine that. If you thought, you imagine that at the end of this lesson, I'm going to have to teach this lesson again to the class, would that have a different effect on your state in your learning when you're actually learning the lesson? Yeah, of course it will. Yeah? You're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to remember this. And you make sure you're going to be on the ball. So have that mentality, not just as a theory, but I encourage you, when you go home, to share this with someone, okay? Or you get the person to test you. And that's the whole point why, in the lesson, I have those questions at the beginning. You should be able to answer those questions by the end of the lesson. So when you go home, you basically say, not why do I want to study Arabic? That's not really a tough question. Can I identify the difference between a noun, verb and particle? So what's a noun, what's a verb, particle? How do you know if you really know something? You know something if you actually can you can explain it to someone else in a way they can understand, they get you. If you've done that, you've got the material. And that's the best and most effective way to revise. I see these poor people that do about 5 hours revision and it's completely ineffective. They don't know how to revise. That's the key principle to revision. Can you express it to someone else whereby they can understand? And so that's the key to learning, okay, and revision, okay. And so that's basically what the introduction to the lesson today. What we're going to do now is I want you to close your books. And so we're just going to go over this all together. You don't need to refer to anything, okay. So for some of you who've done a little bit of Arabic, I know some of the class have done a bit of Arabic before, some of you it's completely new to you. We've obviously got to know a bit of grammar, okay? And I'm going to try to cut the grammar out as much as possible that I can, and I'm going to simplify the terms. However, some of it's inescapable. And to be honest myself, I didn't even know what a noun, verb, I didn't know what nouns and verbs were until I started studying Arabic. So when you actually learn another language, that's when you actually have to end up learning your own language. Okay, so I'm going to try to simplify as much as possible, and so we've got Arabic breaks down into 3 different categories. Can anyone give those to me? What's one of them? Okay, so the Arabic language is either one of 3 words that you're going to be dealing with. Okay, who's that? Khalid? So noun. Okay, I'm going to put noun actually second. What's another one? Yeah, go on. Verb. Excellent. And I'm going to put verb first. And the last one, yes, particle, fantastic. Okay, so let's look at this together. Verb, noun, particle. Every Arabic word is one of these 3. Now, what's a verb? Can anyone explain to me what a verb is?
A doing word.
Go on, Khalid.
Something like doing.
Okay. So Khalid says it's a doing. Can you give me an example? Running, jumping. So you're actually doing an act. I'm either running, I'm jumping, I'm doing something, I'm being active. Okay, fair dues. Can anyone give any more clarification to that, what a verb is?
It's associated with time.
Very good. So this is very important. So it's an action. Let me just get the example out of the way. So action that's in time. What do you mean by that, Elizabeth?
So it's in the past, it's in the present, it's happening right now.
So when I say Khalid's running, when's that happening? Right now. If I want to put it in parts, what do I say? Khalid ran. Okay? And if it's the future, Khalid will run or is running tomorrow. It depends, isn't it? And so a verb is an action that's happening in the past, present or future. And there's one more thing that's very key. Does anyone know? Hands up with you guys. Go on, Ahmed.
Done by somebody.
Fantastic. That's really key here. Because usually we just say verbs, they're actions. It's not that simple. You have to ask the question, what or who is doing it? If we don't have an answer, it's not a verb. Okay? There's got to be some actor doing it. So when I say, for example, if I say to you, running's good for your health. Running is good for your health. Is that a verb? It's not a verb. But you just said actions are verbs. Why is it not a verb? Hands up. Why is it not a verb? Oh, Abid?
Until you relate it to somebody.
Yeah, so you're going to ask what? What's the question you're going to ask, Abid?
Who is running?
Who's running? There's no answer in this sentence, is it? Running is good for your health. We don't have an answer. It's not a verb. That's actually a noun. And so actions, so that's really key. Verbs, you've got to have an agent, someone doing the action. And generally, with some verbs, the verb is actually affecting someone as well. So I'm hitting Abid, for example. Sorry, Abid. I'm hitting Abid. Who's doing the action? I am. I'm the subject. I'm the one doing the action. Who's it affecting? Abid. So he's the object. Okay? So in verbal sentences, we have the doer, we have the verb, and we have the one affected by the verb as well. Okay? These are verbs. Okay? But verbs are not just actions. We're going to get a little bit more complicated now. Go on.
What if Abid was hit?
Oh, you're making it passive. Yeah. Then let's not get too complicated. Yeah. As I said, some of these rules, they're like stabilisers. Okay. Once we get a bit more advanced, I'll take your stabilisers off. Okay. But for the time being, I'll give you these simple rules just to give you a bearing, of course. Okay. Now, so we've got verbs. We've said they're actions, but not necessarily. So, for example, I say Harun died. For example, Harun died. Is that a verb? Yes. But it's not an action. Did Harun suddenly say, right, I'm going to die, and you know, he's going to put some act, he's actually doing an action of death? He's not. So what's that then? What's death here? It's a verb, definitely. Who's doing the dying, or who's affected by the dying? So Harun. What is it then? It's not an action. It's a... Anyone?
Thing.
Go on. No, it's a state. Okay. It's a state of being. Okay? So that's a bit more complex. Okay? So you're either doing an action, or it's actually a state, like, you know, like death, like being, even existing. Okay? And so verbs are not necessarily actions there, it's actions and states, and we're going to see examples of this straight away, okay, once we get into the sentences. Okay, let's look at nouns. What's a noun? What's a noun, Sajid?
A name or description or something.
Fantastic. Okay, so give me an example.
Sun.
Sun. Okay, the sun, it's something we've named. Fantastic. Anyone else? Another example. Naveed?
Book.
A book, which is that's not a name of something, it's a...
Object.
Excellent, it's an object or a thing. Very good. Okay, anything else a noun is?
Table.
Table, it's an object. Okay, anything else? That's not an object, not a name.
Describing.
Yeah, that's an object and power to stretch it and expand it.
Town, city.
Town, city, these are places. Yeah? Anything else?
Anger.
Anger. Now we're getting more abstract, we call that. Okay, it's not something you actually see, okay, but it's something you can conceptualize. If I say, for example, I'm angry, yeah, you just see the effect of the anger on my face, but anger itself is something it's more of an idea. Anger. What else have we got as ideas? So we can have anger.
Love.
Huh?
Love.
Love. Love is an idea. Okay, what's another? Other ideas.
Hate.
Hate. Okay, an emotion.
Democracy.
Democracy. It's not something physical you see. Khalid?
Belief.
Relief.
Belief.
Oh, belief. Yeah, belief. Religion. These are all ideas. They're not something that you actually see. Okay? It's something you associate to something. So nouns can be ideas. Now I'm going to make it far more general. Do you want to know what a noun is? Basically, imagine. Sorry to use an example. I use an example a lot. Imagine the Auntie G's all sitting in a room, and you can throw this word into their circle, and they can have a good old chinwag about it. So anything that you can talk about, anything that can be the subject of something, is a noun. So if I say to the Auntie G's, for example, exercise, and they start, oh, exercise, you know, they talk about exercise, they can talk about it. Democracy, could the aunties talk about democracy? They may do. Okay. What else could the aunties talk about?
Cooking.
Cooking, yeah, what else?
Clothes.
Food, very good, yeah? Clothes, or a book, or a camera, anything that you can throw it in there and it can be spoken about, this is a noun. Okay? But once we say, if we've got someone doing it, if it's an action or a statement, someone's doing it, or something or someone's doing it, then it becomes a verb. Okay? So if they say Zainab next door, okay, well Zainab's a subject, they're talking about her, but she's doing bad things. There's now, what's she doing? She's doing an action. And so now this is a verb, because you're attributing an action to someone. Okay? And so the person or anything you can speak about, be it an idea, be it an object, this is a noun. So you can have a good chinwag about it. The verbs are more specific, they're actions or states that have someone doing something. Okay? And so we're going to practice that. The last one, particle. What's a particle?
Small word.
Khalid?
A small word.
You're going to be more specific than that. You're right, but what's a particle?
Anything's not a verb or a noun?
Anything that doesn't fit into the last two. Okay? Anything that doesn't fit into those two categories is a particle. Example. Shazia, can you think of an example?
Like and.
Fantastic. So if I go to the Auntie G's in their room and I just go and, are they going to be able to talk about and? They're going to say, you know, you lost your mind. What do you mean and? And what? And so it doesn't make any sense by itself. It's just complementing. Okay, I like Gujarela and Rasmalai. These are two, the and's connecting that I like these two things. But it's not a word that has meaning in itself. It doesn't have an and. What's another word, a particle that I can throw in the conversation, they wouldn't understand the word?
In.
In. I just come into the room and say in. If I come and say running, democracy, it's not complete, but at least, democracy, I'll tell you about democracy. Okay? Or it's something they can actually start talking about. But particles, you can't talk about them at all. They don't make any sense until they come into the sentence. They're like the cement for the bricks. Okay? They're enabling the bricks to become stable in the wall. Okay? But they don't have any function in themselves. Okay? Cement by itself is useless. It's just a tool to solidify something else. Okay? So these are verbs, nouns, and particles. So what we're going to do is, this is a very basic introduction. Now I've got 6 sentences on page 3, I think it is, with your partner, and I'm kicking you in the deep end a bit here. You're going to find some of it difficult. Don't worry about it. Well, you're going to take those English sentences, there's 6 sentences here. One, I'm going to change though. Number 2, I'm going to change to the house. Is it the house it says there or home?
What page?
The house.
Yeah, what page is it, Shahid? Page 3. The house is not here. I want you to change that sentence. The house is not here. Okay? So I want you to go through that with your partner. The more discussion you have, the better. And some of it's very difficult. Some of it's very easy. Okay? I'm going to come around and you can discuss it with me as well. Put either an N for a noun, a V for a verb, a P for particle. Some of you might have done it already. If you've done it, that's great, but still discuss it with your partner. Okay? Now, let's look at the first one together then. And so, Afayaz, if you read it, the sentence.
The mother reads the Quran.
The mother reads the Quran. So, what did you say?
Particle.
Particle. Everyone agree?
Yeah.
So if I walk into the room and just say the, is it going to give you some clarity about something, or is it just going to confuse you? It's going to confuse you. The, what's the? So yes, it's a particle. It's just giving some definition to the noun after it, some clarity to the noun after it. It's not the, it's the. Okay, good. So the is a particle. Next word.
Mother is noun.
Mother's a noun. Yes? Another definition can help, and that helps, it's a general thing, is that you can conceptualise it. So if I said, for example, you can imagine it. So if I say mother, does an image come into your head? Yes. Yeah. And so that's a noun. That's going to be a noun. If you can conceptualise something, it's going to be a noun. So mother, you can speak about her. I say mum, and the aunties can speak about mum. Okay, yes, it's a noun. Next.
Reads.
Reads. Verb. So it's an action. Who's doing the reading? The mother. So we've got an action, and we've got someone doing it. So it's a verb. Is everyone happy with that one? Okay, next. Come on, please.
The particle.
The particle. Okay, it makes no sense if you just say the. Nothing. Go on.
Quran. Now.
Quran, noun. Everyone happy? Yeah. Anyone got any confusion about that one? Okay? Yes, Sajid, go on.
Well, I thought Quran in Arabic is recite of Quran, so thought maybe it might be an action, so it's reading.
Very good. Now, Sajid, he says Quran, it means recitation. Okay, that's an action. But what's the definition of a verb? It's not just that it's an action. Who's doing the Quran?
The mother.
No, but what's she doing? She is reading the Quran.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the key. You've got to ask that, is it who or what's doing that thing? Okay, and so they're not doing the Quran, they're reading the Quran, so the verb is already mentioned. Here's another one, it's not a fixed rule, so it's just like the stabilisers for your bike at the beginning. Generally, if you find, once you've found the verb, that's it. In most sentences, there's only one verb to the sentence. So you found your verb, everything else will be a noun or particle. Okay, that's not always the case, but it's a helpful guide. Okay, next, let's go. Next one, Hannah. Next one. Next sentence. Number 2.
The is a particle.
Yeah, we've established that now. The is a particle. Brilliant.
House is a noun.
House is a noun. Everyone happy with that? Go on.
Is a particle.
Is a particle. Why? That's the common perception that is a particle. It's not. His one is a verb. Why?
State of being.
It's a state of being. You're right, Khalid. It's a state of being. You exist. If I say Khalid's in the building, he's existing, he's present. He is present in the building. It's a state of being. If that confuses you, don't worry. Just know that when you see is, it's a verb. Just know where it's at. Yeah? Just accept that, okay? What we're going to see in Arabic is, there is no is. So that makes life easy. Arabic doesn't have an is, okay? Now, when I say is, what do I mean though? He is, you what? He is, you don't say you is, do you?
You are.
You are, and? Is it Rasley, is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, right. If you just start
Sorry, I was at the
No.
wrong venue. And
Yeah, I've got that one. I've got that one. And a lot of people go down to
I
that.
nobody knew where you were.
There you go.
Thank you.
Now, we said, so, yeah, he is, you are, I am. So this is the verb to be. And in the past, what is it?
Was.
He was, you were. Unless you're a southerner, we say you was. Okay? And he were. Up here, you say he were. So it's the opposite. I always got confused about that. Southern, northerners use were. Sorry, northerners use were and southerners use was. Now, so this is the verb to be. Just accept that it's a verb. Okay? If you find that confusing, state of being, present, and I can't see how that's a verb, just know that it's a verb. Okay? Next then, is going enough, Hannah? Yeah? Not? This one's confusing, this one, it is difficult. Go on. It must be a noun. So if I say to you not, Farhana, does that make sense? I just run into the room and say not.
So we've got to separate the two words. So not is a particle.
It's a particle. It's just coming to negate. It's just dismissing what's happening. Okay? If we so we're on page, what page are we on? 3. So, when I say not, it's a particle. It's just coming along to negate that it's not the case. That's all it is. Okay? Next one, here for Hannah.
It's a noun.
It's a noun, do you agree? Why do you say it's a noun?
Not sure. It is completely through me. Well, you did say that you can only have one verb in a sentence.
Well, there you go. That's good. These rules, generally, we found the verb, everything else is a noun and particle. But why is it not a noun? Why is it a particle? If I say to you here, can you conceptualise here? Yeah, right here. And here's another rule. Anything that refers to a noun is a noun. So when I say I'm here, what's here referring to at this moment in time? The building, the classroom. So if the noun can refers to, if the word refers to another noun, it's a noun. So when I say I'm here, right here, that means I'm in the classroom. Here is referring to classroom. Classroom is definitely a noun, isn't it? Okay, so here is a noun. So that's a key to thing. Anything that refers to a noun, what is it? A noun. Okay, we need to get a bit of pantomime going. Okay? So, next one, third sentence. Navid, go on.
God.
So, which we are doing? No, you jump one. His messenger, 3.
His messenger.
So his, what do you say?
Noun.
Noun, do you agree? Why?
Is a thing named somebody.
It's somebody. If I say who's he? Okay. It's someone. So it's a noun. It's referring to a noun, his. Okay? And you know these are, what's important about his, he, him, yeah? This is the only example we have in the English language of change, reflexiveness, we call it. You know, you've all studied Qur'an when you were a kid. When we used to learn kitabun, kitaban, kitabin, the endings, yeah? We're going to go into this a lot later. The endings, Arabic's very reflexive. It changes the endings. Kitabun, kitabin, kitaban. English is not, is it? It's just book. It's not bookun, bookin, bookan. It doesn't change the ending. The only example we have in the English language is these pronouns. For example, he likes football. I like... Do we say I like he? I like him. Do I say he book? You may do if your English is a bit messed up. We say, go on Ivan, his book. So depending on what it's qualifying, depending on what it's affecting, it's going to change. This is the only example in the English language, to the best of my knowledge, that there's actually reflexive change. Okay, whilst Arabic is very reflexive, it changes kitabun, kitaban, kitabin, it's always changing depending where it stands. Okay, so his is referring to someone, he. Okay, so it's a noun. Go carry on a bit.
Messenger.
Messenger.
Noun.
Noun. Yeah, I can conceptualise it. If I say messenger, an image can come in my mind. If I go to the Auntie G's and I say messenger, I want to speak about the messenger. Okay, that they can speak about it, so it's a noun. Okay, carry on.
Called.
Yeah.
Verb.
So you're going to be a 3 now. Call, verb. I'm calling someone, I'm doing an action. Okay, who's doing the action? Yeah, he's the messenger, isn't it? The messenger, is it the messenger doing the calling? Yeah, the messenger. So it's a verb. Brilliant. Carry on.
These. Noun.
Right now, here's a tricky one. These. Is it a particle or a noun? Now, if I come into the room and I say these lot, these, do you think it's a noun or a particle?
You're referring to a noun.
These, you say, who are these? These are the people. These are, it's referring to someone. So if something refers to a noun, it's a noun. So sometimes something looks like a particle, it's not, it's actually a noun. So that's a key principle. Anything that refers, if I say these, I don't like these, it can stand alone. These. Now, obviously, this might be confusing if you've not spoken about it before. If I just come to them and say these, you say, well, what these? But, huh? Is it coming? Okay, we'll stop there for a bit. We're just going to pray my belief, inshallah. What number are we on? 3. Okay. Another 13. What's your next? 15, isn't it? 15 was for that. Number 3.
So his was a noun.
Oh, sorry, someone was halfway through this one, weren't they? Yeah. Who was it? Was it Sajid? Was it?
I'm just browsing the right.
Okay, right. I'll pick on
When
you.
you was on, I think, call these.
Called these, wasn't it?
Yes.
And then people. People is a noun. Okay. To. Particle, exactly. Yeah, particle. The. Yes. Religion. A noun. Of. Particle. Yeah, it doesn't have any meaning to itself. I walk into the room of. It's just giving some meaning, more clarity. Go on, next one. God. Noun. Okay, straightforward that one. Anyone got any questions? Okay, let's go on to the next one. Fahim, the next one then, please. God is a noun. Said is a verb. Is everyone happy so far? Yeah?
Would that be a noun? I'll put it down as a particle first, but would it be a noun?
What's that? What's everyone say?
I thought I'm particle.
What did you say, Sajid?
Particle.
Particle. Okay, this one's a tricky one. Okay? That, there's actually 3 types of that we've got to deal with. Okay? This is a bit confusing. If this goes over your head, I don't care. Okay, so don't worry. If you're not supposed to understand all of this, I'm just giving you a bit of exposure. So, if I say that, I don't like that, what's that? It's a thing. It's a thing, isn't it? So it's a noun. But here, when I said God said that, it's not. This is what that is used when we're reporting something. For example, I say to Abid, your watch doesn't work, for example. Okay? So I say, Abid, your watch doesn't work. You don't hear me. So what does Fayaz say to you? Because Abid didn't hear me. What are you going to say? Idris?
Idris said your watch doesn't work.
Yeah, don't take out the that. That's it. God, Idris said, go on.
That's your watch doesn't work.
So that is just reporting information. So I thought that your watch didn't work. I think that any verb that brings reporting something, we can have that. And the thing is, that here, do we have to have it? Like Fayaz, he knocked it out. He said, Idris said, your watch doesn't work. He didn't say Idris said that your watch doesn't work. The way you know it's different to the other one, is you can put it out. Okay? The only function that has is to report something. Okay? If you don't understand that, I don't care. Okay? It's not a major important thing. All I want you to show is this thing about does it refer to something or not is key. Let's keep going. Okay? That is a particle. We know that now. That's straightforward. Yep, keep going.
Prophet is a noun.
Prophet is a noun. Yeah.
And is a verb.
Yeah, we've learned. Just accept it as is a verb. Okay. We don't need to go into the state of being if that confuses you. Carry on.
His a noun.
A noun. Because we say yes. His is referring to who? Is his referring to the prophet?
God.
Yes. So who? The prophet is the beloved of who? God. So God is his. Okay, so excellent, it's a noun. Some people might think that's a participle. Because it refers to a noun. Go on. It is a noun, that's key. If it refers to a noun, it is a noun. Keep going.
Beloved as a noun.
Beloved as a noun, do you agree? Some people said they thought it was a verb. Okay? Why did they think it's a verb?
A state of being.
It's not, well, beloved. I think it's because they saw the love. And they thought, I love something. But in this sense, it's not saying he loves him. It's giving description. It's describing the Prophet ﷺ, that he's beloved. So this is a noun. Okay? Now, this begs a question. You say, well, hang on a minute. Where I come from, if something's describing something, it's not a noun, it's a what? If you know a little bit of English grammar, something that describes something is a?
Adjective.
An adjective, we call it. However, in Arabic, adjectives are a subcategory of nouns. They're nouns. Okay? And we're going to get into that later. You know, all this we're going through is basically just an introduction to everything we're going to cover in a year. Okay? In terms of categories of things. So don't you worry if some of this is confusing. We're going to be going over this time and time again. So this is just a bit of exposure. As long as you understand these 3 key principles, and that something that refers to something is, and that, you know, then that's all you need to know. Okay? So beloved is a noun. Keep going. Okay?
One is a noun.
One is a noun. Yeah, I like that one. The one there. You can actually point to it. It's something you're referring to. So anything that refers to a noun is a noun. Yeah, say it with me, that reinforces it. Carry on. That's it, isn't it? Number 5. Go on, Huddle. Number 5.
Today is a noun.
Today's a noun. Now someone thought, this is in their class, well, today's in that time. And time is linked to verbs. But it's today, remember, a verb is not about time. It's about, a verb is a action on doing something. But it's in time. But you don't do time. You don't say, I'm todaying today. Yeah? It's not an action. And so it's a noun. Okay? So today is a noun. Very good. Keep going.
Is a verb.
Is a verb. We know that now.
I is a particle.
I. Sorry, what is it?
Is
It's a particle. Brilliant. Yeah?
great.
Go on.
Put that as a noun.
A noun. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an adjective. It's describing it. What about the day? It's great. But remember, in Arabic, adjectives are nouns. Okay, so it's a noun. Carry on.
Day is noun.
Day is a noun. Everyone happy with that? Yep, keep going.
When I put as particle.
Here's a tricky one. When. Now, I can understand why you thought it's a particle, because you're thinking when. But let's go back to the rule. Now, when I say when did you go to the shops, give me the answer. Earlier on, or yesterday, or today. Today or yesterday is a noun. So anything that refers to a noun is a noun. Okay? So that's a tricky one, that one. Okay? So don't worry about that. It's that refers to. Carry on. Yeah. I can understand why you thought that was a particle. That's understandable.
When is a noun.
So when is a noun, because it refers to a noun. When is referring to time, and time is a noun. Okay, so keep going. So what did you say? When, and then what was it? The particle. Brilliant.
Truth as a noun.
And now, truth is a noun. Did you agree with that one? Yep, exactly. I go into the auntie's room and I say, tell me about the truth. They can talk about the truth. Anything you can have a good old chinwag about, a discussion, is a noun. Okay, carry on.
Will, particle.
Now, brilliant. Okay? Will, he said, is a particle. Did anyone say any different? Because in English, it's a verb. It's like a supportive verb. So we call it a modal verb. You don't need to know that. But it's just supporting. So in Arabic, anything that just supports is a particle. So brilliant. What's it doing, the wheel, in terms of its function? So when we see will, it's telling me what?
When. An effect or an action to be done.
So to be done. So go and huddle. It's going to be done. What's that?
In the future.
In the future, exactly. It's just a future tool. It's just telling me that so for example, I play football. I will play football. It's just a particle telling me that it's now in the future. Okay? So it's a particle. Brilliant. And the last one?
Show.
Yeah.
Noun.
Show a noun. Why do you say that?
Actually, it could be a verb because it is, in a way, it could be an action or a...
What's being shown? The truth.
Truth.
So yeah, if you ask that question, what or who is being shown? Okay, I understand what he's saying. It feels like an action. It's more of a state of being. It's appearing in front of you. Okay, but what's appearing? It's the truth. So it's a verb here. It's like a state of being, and then it's present. That's a bit abstract. Okay. I can see some people going, okay, don't worry, okay? This is normal for you to be confused. Look, you never studied it like this, okay? Even I had some English teachers yesterday in Leeds, and they were getting things wrong. So this is what's important, that you just understand the key principles. I'll just kick you in the deep end for a good old laugh to see if you swim or not, or you drown. That's all. It's normal for you to make mistakes here, okay? So don't you worry. Okay, that's it, isn't it? Okay. The last one, Shazia? Bismillah, go for it.
There is a particle.
There is a particle. We've all established that now. Yeah, go on.
Noun, for the one.
So one is a noun, yeah? It refers to the one here. It refers to something. It refers to a noun, so it is a noun. Carry on.
That is a particle.
Yeah. Now this one's tricky. Okay, don't you worry about this. It's actually a noun. Okay. So we've seen 3 that's. This is so we've got, for example, that is a cat. What's that then? Is it a noun or a particle if I say that is a cat?
No.
It's a noun. Why is it a noun?
Referring to that.
Because anything that refers... Go on.
That is
It's a noun. When I say that thing there is a cat, it's referring to it. Then we had the reported speech, didn't we? I think that Fayaz is not from Keighley. Okay? Now, what's that doing there? It's a particle. It's reporting something. Okay? I'm giving some... Now, the last one, I'm going to give you an example here. The cat that died was old. Okay? This information here, that died, is that essential to the sentence? Can I get rid of it and it still makes sense? The cat was old. Does that make sense?
If you're trying to say, refer to a particular cat.
Oh yes, you're right in that sense. But if I just said that, the cat is old, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But what now? You're right, exactly. What's this doing? That died. It's giving more clarification. It's describing the cat, in fact. So it's like an adjective. And so because it's like an adjective, it's a noun. Okay? This is what we call a descriptive, an adjectival pronoun. Okay, you don't need to know that. Okay? What's it doing? It's just giving some extra information about the noun before it. We're going to see that later on. Okay? For the time being, you don't need to know that. So now we've seen three that's. We've seen a that that's referring to a noun. We've seen a that that's just coming to report information. And now we've seen that is giving description, describing the noun before it. Okay? If you don't understand that, I don't care. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Okay. Next, carry on then, Shazia.
Tell is a verb.
Tell is a verb, yeah. He's telling. Good.
A is a particle.
A is a particle, brilliant.
Great is a noun.
Great is a noun. Yeah, even though it's descriptive, isn't it? It's describing, but in Arabic we consider descriptive words as nouns. Carry on.
I put lie as a verb. I don't know if this should be.
Oh, here's a good one. Well, good. Now, lie, Shazzy is correct, and it's an action, isn't it? You lie. But who's doing the lying here? Is someone... Remember, for it to be a verb, Shazia, it's got to be doing someone or something doing it right there. Do we have an answer there? No, there's no one doing it. So is it a verb?
No.
It's a noun. Yeah. And so that's where it's tricky. Verbs are not just actions. They're actually, in the sentence you see, for example, I lie, she lies, you lie. Now we've got a verb because we've got the person doing the action. But in this sentence, it's not saying someone's lying. It's just saying a great lies. Okay? Very good. Carry on.
Is a verb.
Good. Is a verb. Remember that one?
The is a particle.
That is a particle. Brilliant.
One is a noun.
Yeah?
Who is a noun?
Fantastic. Why did you say who is a noun?
Because it's referring to the one.
Fantastic. That's that rule. Anything. All together with me? Anything. Refers to a noun is a noun. Good, boys and girls. Okay? Right, and the last one.
Regrets put as a verb.
Yeah, it's tricky this one. But now, who's doing the regretting? Do we have an answer? Yeah, we've got an answer. And so this is a verb. So there's someone doing this, the regret. Even though it seems a bit weird, regret's more like a state, isn't it? It's rather that you're doing something, but it's a verb, you've got someone doing it. So that's just a little bit of exposure to nouns, verbs and particles, okay? As long as you've got the general concept. If I say to you, what's a noun? You can give the answer. That's what I'm happy with. That was just a bit of practice in English. We're going to forget all that now, okay? So now we're going to jump into a bit of vocab. The reason this vocab is the vocab that I put on the vocab app. If anyone's got issues with the vocab app, has anyone had any problems with it? Okay? Has everyone downloaded the app?
No.
Okay, I know you obviously, Roger, you haven't. I can send that to you. Now, if you've got iPhones, there is a free way to do it. And I've sent out an email today, Brother Mubin. He actually contacted me and showed me how you do that. So I'll send that email for people who are iPhoners. Okay? Now, as for if you're having trouble with this Android, we'll look at that at the end of the lesson. I'll see what you... has anyone got problems with downloading it for Android?
I've not tried it.
You've not tried it, okay? So have a go. Have you got any problems? No, I'll send that to you. Did I send it to you? I'll send that to you then. It's Anki-Droid, isn't it?
Anki,
Yeah, you download the app Anki-Droid. I'll show you how to do that, don't worry. Okay, so this is the first vocab. I've given a lot of vocab in this first one, just as a little bit of exposure, and most of the words, not the last ones aren't, we haven't done those. The words at the beginning, a lot of them are in the Fatiha. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And so you should be able to work out some of them. So I'm going to give you about 5-10 minutes. Let's go through it with your partner. Which ones do you know? If you don't know it, it's not a problem. Okay? But one thing, mark if they're noun, verbs or particles. Okay? If you know them. So go through it together. Even if you've done it, check the test of the other person.
That's a noun, isn't it?
Anyone like a name? No one heard of it. That's not
No said no to it.
Sure, Shahid? This is Abida Fayaz. The name? You can do it either way.
Read or to read. This is.
Did you get your
Yes.
This.
This is the verb. Your day. Your day. Rich.
Okay, if you don't know it, just leave it. It's not a problem. Don't check at the back. Just to see what if you do know any of the words.
Actually, Rahman is gracious, okay.
It's a word that refers to
It's in the Fatiha. Where is it in the Fatiha? And Amta alayhim. First row to the exam.
Is that what
Just put anything in. What we're going to see is it's actually very difficult to translate. So if you don't know, just skip over it. What's the three-letter root of that word? That's that word. That helps a lot. Figure out what word comes from that. And if you've got Urdu as well. Right, regardless now, let's go through it together. Even if you haven't finished, it's not a problem. Okay, the first one, Arazia, what's the first one?
Noun.
It's a noun, brilliant. What's it translated? Messenger. Now notice, we translate it as a messenger. We have to put the there. Okay, that's key. In Arabic, words are generally indefinite by nature, meaning you have to put before them. Okay? If you want to say the messenger, what do we put before it? Al. But in Arabic, if you want to say we don't put anything. And so we won't translate it as messenger, it's going to be a messenger. Now what we're going to appreciate here is that it's really difficult to translate, especially Quranic Arabic. Modern Arabic, that's spoken, it's easy. But when we talk about the Quran, it's really, you lose so much from the translation. So Rasul means someone, it's on the, it means someone, it's on the pattern that's very emphatic, it's like someone great, okay? It's someone that comes from a higher place, sent to a lower place, with us holding something, as a message, to a specific destination. Okay, that's the meaning of message. So, to say messenger, it's not, it depends. But we've got, when we're reading the Quran, we've got to appreciate the what's the theme behind the word. It's very, very, and we're going to see this, especially in like the word deen. You're going to see sometimes you can't what do we usually translate deen as? Religion. It's religion is a general translation. We're going to see in one example, they definitely can't be translated like that. It doesn't make sense. And so it's really important, instead of being fixated on just a translation, you've got to rather get an idea of the concept behind the word. Okay, that's really important. So Rasul is someone that's very special. They're honoured. They've come from a higher level. Like from Allah, obviously the messenger coming, and then he's been sent to specific people for them. Okay, that's the meaning of a Rasul. Some people yesterday, for example, in one class, they translated it as prophet. No, it's a messenger. Okay, there's a difference. And we're going to see this. Next one. Harun Kitab, what do you say?
A book.
A book. Okay? That's a general translation, but again we're going to see Kitab means to engrave. I said it in the open day. Kitab means to, because in those days they didn't write with a pen that's engraved into things, like leather or bone or something. So it means something that's engraved, that's what's the word? Etched into something, like a tablet or something like that. Meaning that it doesn't change, it's fixed, it's permanent, it's all that sort of things. But in a general sense we say that book. Okay? for the time being. Shahid, what's the next one?
Dean.
Deen. Okay, what's deen translated as? We said it.
Religion.
A religion. However, deen, or it comes from another word that comes from this word, it's like a debt. What's the link between religion and debt? The idea here is that a religion is something that you're bound by. So for example, you know, if you have a debt, you can't go on holiday, can you? You know, usually you say, oh, let's go on holiday this year, I can't, I've got a mortgage. It's a debt, isn't it? And so you start to think, so you're restricted. And so a religion is something you restrict yourself by. I.e., you say, I can do this, I can't do this. You've got principles that you live by that prevent you from doing some things and allow you to do others. Like a debt, because it restricts you, and so that's the meaning of deen, literally. Okay, so it's something that you're bound by, certain laws, certain principles, and prevents you from doing some things and allows you to do others. Okay, next one, Rab, Sarah. A lord. But that, you know, you lose so much. Rab comes from the three-letter root Rababa. Rab means someone or something that takes something that's a liquid, it's very weak, and it's very, you know, and makes it, solidifies it and makes it solid and strong. So a Rab is someone that takes care of someone and nurturing them and taking care of them, making them stronger and firmer, so able to deal with their challenges in life. The Lord doesn't say that at all. So I want us to get away from the translation. Obviously we have to translate, there's nothing, but I want you to try to start understanding these concepts, and I'm going to constantly go over these.
So nurturer.
Yeah, like nurturer, sustainer. But even Lord's fine, but as long as you understand those concepts. Okay, yeah.
Can you translate it as God?
No, because Rabb can be used for other than Allah. Okay, so for example, you have the wife is called the Rabbatul Bayt. Yeah. The Lord of that Lord. That's we call her the Lord of the house. That in Christian Arabic they used to call it that. Rabb, even for example, we see the Yusuf Alayhi considers Aziz as his Rabb, i.e. the care of him. So you can call someone because he took care of him and he raised him, and so it's more of a Lord. If that's a good translation, it's a difficult one to translate. Next one, Nabi. Nabi?
A prophet.
Yeah, a prophet. Now the problem with the word prophet, it's not wrong, this translation, but a prophet's usually prophesizing something, isn't it, like the future. You say, so in English when you say prophet, it doesn't just mean prophets that God sends. Like for example, who's that one, that Italian that made all those predictions? Was he French or was he Italian? Was he French? Yeah, Nostradamus, he made all these predictions. He's a prophet from that perspective. If he made a prediction and it came true, he prophesied it. But prophet in Arabic does not mean that. It's part of prophecy, but it comes from the word naba, which means some news that's astounding. So for example, if I come to Fayyaz and I say, I've got your exam results. Now that's astounding news for him. I don't know what the results are and I really want to know, and it's captivating. That's a naba. But if I come Fayyaz, I say for example, I know your boy's name. You know, your son's name. Now is that astounding news? It's obvious, you know it, and you're not, you know, it's nothing surprising to you. So that's not a naba, that's a khabar. You know, you've got this word in Punjabi, haven't you, Urdu? Khabar. Just means some news. Any news, but this is a naba. So it means someone that's given information that's so amazing and astounding. Okay? So that's the meaning of nabi. So I want us to get away from the translation, even though we have to translate, and to understand these nuances. Okay? So next one, Shazia, what's the next one? Qara'a.
Recite.
Yes, this is a verb. All the other ones are rubbing nouns. Qara'a means to recite something. Okay, or in a context, if we said qara'a, it means he read. In a sentence, if I say qara'a al-Muslim, for example, how do I translate that sentence? The Muslim read. Notice the word order is very different to English. Read the Muslim. That's how we say it in Arabic. Okay, so we put the verb first. Okay, so out of a context, we just say it means to read, to recite. In a context, it means he read in the past. Okay. Next one. Fahim?
Does it mean this?
This, exactly. What is it?
Is it a particle? Or is it a noun?
Why? You can't get away with that. You don't, is it a politician if ever that one?
If it's referring to something else, then it's a noun.
Fantastic. If it refers to a noun, Allah. If it refers to a noun, it's a noun. So hair there. What's great about in Arabic, the hair is not part of the word actually. It's additional. The hair is the getting the person's attention. So really, it's the oi. I had a friend, he was American. When I lived in Morocco, he loved oi. He says, "Do you English? I love that word you've got." Because they don't say oi, English American people. What do they say?
Hey.
Hey, yeah. So every time I used to go out in the morning, he'd come out of his window, go, "Oi!" Like this to me. So that's basically what that hair is. It's getting the person's attention. Her. And then there is pointing to the thing. There, meaning this. Okay? So that's really important because it has a powerful impact on the Quran. It's really getting someone's attention. It's very dramatic, the language. Okay? Yeah, so it's a particle. It's a noun. It's a noun, is it first? Fantastic. Right, so the next one, Yom. This one?
Day.
Day. Okay? We have this, if you know the Jewish festival, it's called Yom Kippur, isn't it, they call it? Yom, it's the same word, Yom, it's very similar. So what I want you to do is, something else about the vocabulary, because I know vocabulary can be a bit stressful to people. Okay, they think, oh my goodness me, I'm forgetting the vocabulary. There are techniques, okay, to memorization. Finding links. So look what I just did there. If you know the word Yom Kippur, you can make, that's a day of, I think it's of repentance or something, but I don't know what it means in Hebrew. But make links. That's how to, there's no such thing as a bad memory, but there is such thing as an untrained memory. But we've all got good memories deep down. For example, you might forget things, short-term things, you know, people's names. Do you forget people's names? You meet them for the first time, and then 2 minutes later you think, oh my god, this man, I don't know what his name is. Does that happen to you? Do you know how to do that? All I do is, for example, I've got, quite sorry to do this to you, Shahid, but Shahid, in Arabic, there's a meaning of shahid, which means a tombstone. Okay, that's one of the meanings. It's not, you're not. So what I do is, and shahid's a really typical, sorry, not typical, common Pakistani name, isn't it, shahid? So when I meet a shahid, say, Islam, what's your name? It says shahid, I imagine a tombstone on his head. Okay? I'm making a link. So, or an easier one, so I can say, for example, I can imagine a shahid that's very close to me, and I imagine his features in his face. Okay? So I'm making, why? Because what's memory all about? Memory is linking something that you know to something that's new information. You're just linking. That's why when I have a conversation with Abid, for example, and he starts speaking about topics, they start stimulating triggers in my mind about other things in the past. So, like for example, Abid might say to me, "Oh yeah, I sell ice cream, for example," and I think, "Oh, I remember that day once when I was a kid, and my parents wouldn't let me go out to the ice cream man." Does that happen to you sometimes? You have a conversation and it starts triggering a memory. That's exactly how memory works, and so you need to utilise that. So, for example, and some of them, and the funny thing is, the sillier the example, the better you're going to remember it. I'll give you an example. Imagine one day, every day I come wearing these clothes. Yeah, you won't think it's anything. But one day I come up dressed as that. What's that pink dinosaur, the kids program? What's his name? Barney. Imagine one day I come dressed in a Barney suit, and I decide to teach you that. Do you think you'll forget that day? No, because it just jumps out at you. It's so strange and odd. That's how the mind works. So, for example, just an example, Rasul, I think what? Russell. It sounds like Russell. I know someone called Russell, and I'm going to imagine him. Now, what's Rasul mean? That means messenger. So imagine Russell dressed in a pose as a postman, carrying a huge bag on his back. It's nearly breaking his back or something, and he's whinging and complaining. The more dramatic you can make it, the more likely it will stick in your mind. Okay? So it's really important with memory that you make links. Okay? And so I find that very effective. Some of the words, because we're Muslims, so a lot of, you might know people that have names similar to that. So you can make links with a person you know, with the meaning though. So you imagine that meaning with the person. Like Deen, that's a typical Pakistani name actually, Deen. It means religion. So you imagine someone called Deen and he's preaching to you or something. You know, anything that works for you. Every person's got a different way of, different memories. And so that's a very effective way to remember words, okay? Link them to people or link them to something it sounds like. And because a lot of you know Punjabi or Urdu, it helps a lot in that regard because you can make it familiar with something, with a word in Punjabi. Next one, so Yom we said that link of Yom Kippur, if you knew that word. Sajid, what's the next one?
Sirat,
Sirat means?
Sirat al-Mustaqim.
Yeah, very good. Link a lot of things I put from the Fatiha, link it to the Fatiha, and you can work it out. Sirat mustaqim, oh yeah, so it means what?
Path.
Yeah, Sirat means a massive wide road. Okay? And that's been paved. Because actually this word came from Latin. This is one of the words that entered into the Arabic language. Because you know Romans were very famous for making roads. So you get the nuance now here. It's saying it's wide, it should be clear to you, and it's paved so it's easy for you to walk on. Okay, see the nuances now. It's not just a road. Okay, the Arabs actually, when they heard this word, they conceptualized that. Okay, and that created emotion in them, and thinking, wow. Okay, so sirat, yes, it means. Some say the word asphalt comes from it actually. You know, tarmac. Yeah. So Allah knows best. I don't know.
So they're not like a three-letter rule.
Well, Allah knows best. Sometimes the Arabs made them out. Is it from Sarata? Allah knows best. I haven't looked into that, to tell you the truth. But they say it was from Latin, that word. Okay. Next, so Rahman. Farhana?
Compassionate.
Yeah, really difficult to translate. They usually translate as beneficent, don't they? But do we use that word? Do I go around and you know, Fayyaz has been very beneficent today. Very beneficent. You know. So this is the big problem with Quranic translation, is a lot of it's very archaic. We're not interested in the translation. What does Rahman mean to us? It obviously comes from Rahmah, which means mercy, compassion, all these things. But Rahman means really merciful. Like, for example, you know that an on the end? It makes it really emphatic. Like, Qur, and. From Qara'a to read, that means a recitation. It's like, for example, do you know what? In my wallet I've got a grand. Notice how I extended it to emphasise that this is some. If I said I've got a grand, it changes the meaning, doesn't it? Even though I said the same word, the fact that I extended it makes you go, oh, like this. And that's very important in the Quran to understand that. It's very dramatic, the language of the Quran. And so Allah extends things to give an emphasis. So when we say Rahman, it means the all-merciful. Okay? But it has so many more nuances. We could spend 10 minutes just talking about Rahman. And so this is the problem of translating. So translate it as all-merciful, whatever you want. Beneficent, if you love that word. You know. Next one, Zafran, Rahim.
Compassionate.
Compassionate. Okay, another. What does Rahim mean? It means very, very merciful, but it's an inbuilt trait that's always there. Meaning Allah's mercy, even if you can't see the mercy sometimes, when you say like, Allah, why is this happening to me? Deep down in it there's a mercy that you're just not aware of. Okay? And some say Rahim means, because Rahim means it's a lasting trait. Okay? It's always there. So they say Allah is Rahim in the next life, and He's Rahman in this life. Meaning, in this life, He's merciful to everyone, whether they acknowledge Him or don't acknowledge Him, whether they're sinful, He's always, He's given them breath, He's given them money, He's given them life, He's given them family, He's given them everything in their life. So His mercy is in this life, He's the Rahman. In the next life, He is Rahim, which means specific, and it's lasting for the believers in paradise. That's what they say. They have different nuances, these words. Next one. Quran. What's Quran translated as, Shahid?
As the Quran itself.
Yes, but what's the literal meaning? We've seen the verb, qara'a. What's qara'a mean?
The thing that's recited.
Excellent. So Quran means the recital. Okay, the recitation.
Recitation.
Next one. Abid, Anna.
Me.
Yeah, I. Yeah.
That's one.
So you can make a link here, for example, Anna. Think of a woman who you know called Anna, and she's going, me, or something. I don't know, whatever works for you, okay? But these links are really important, honestly. Whatever works for you in memorization, but remember, memorization is always linking something new to something that you already know. That's really key, okay? Just try that name technique, and you'll start remembering a lot more people's names, okay? Next one. Here's an interesting. So, Azim, Sarah?
I translate it as lofty.
Lofty. But it doesn't have a meaning of height. Lofty means high. It doesn't have that meaning, I think. Great. Mighty. Azim, a word that comes from Azim is actually Azama. And Azama are bones. It's the bone in your body. Azim means something solid and mighty and like you can rely upon. So azim means like great, but it's got strength. It has a meaning of strength and power.
So tremendous.
Yeah, maybe tremendous. Okay, it's, as I said, we don't. Whatever works for you in terms of translation, but I want you to understand that because now you're going to see the difference between kabir. What's kabir translated as? Shazia?
Near.
What did you say?
Near.
Near. No, not near. Naveed? Big. Yeah, big now. Big, great, old. It can even mean any of these. What's kabir mean? It means in size usually. It's referring to size. Or it can refer to someone thinking themselves big, like in terms of arrogance in some way. It's like the chief of a tribe can be great. Like that. So that's in station. But it can be in body as well, in that he's big. Okay, kabir. So it could mean fat, it could mean old, it could mean great. It depends on the context. So kabir is to do with size. Azim, because you might say azim and kabir, they're very similar. Go on Arabic.
Kabira, Sagira, Kabira, Sagira.
Yes.
Sin.
Very good, thank you. Excellent. Kabira is a great mighty sin. It's enormous. Yeah? So it's something that's enormous in the eyes of Allah. Okay? It's not something that you should see as insignificant. Okay, exactly. You've made a link. Okay, so make that link, use that link. Anything that triggers your mind, that means you've got to use that to remember because that works for you. Okay? Next one, an'ama. Sajid?
To bless.
Yeah, the verb is to bless. What's the word that comes from this? There's three. Remember, Arabic, what really helps with memorization as well is that Arabic goes back generally to three-letter roots. What's the three-letter root here? Now, some of you might not be familiar with this three-letter root, so if you don't get it now, don't worry, you'll get it later. Does anyone? Noon, Ayn, Mim. What word comes from, do you know the word that comes from this? Ni'ma. You've got this word in Punjabi, I think, haven't you? Yeah? Ni'ma. What's a ni'ma? A blessing. Ni'ma means actually something soft, na'im, soft and pleasurable. Okay.
What form is that?
An'ama, yun'im. Yes, a form 4. So an'ama means to bless. Sirat al-ladina an'amta, the path you've blessed people on. Okay, next one. Mustaqim, Sarah? Straight. It means something that can't be bent. Something very solid and straight. Okay? It's got no crookedness in it. Next one, Farhana. The. So let's go a bit quicker through these now. Okay, Safran. Dal.
Misguidance.
غير المغضوب عليهم ولا ضالين. Yeah, it means to be lost. Okay, so you know that someone in the desert and they're trying to find something and they can't find it. Or that's dal. Ala. And look, dal, I think of dole. Works for me, a dole. Think of a little girl in the desert, can't find her doll or something. You've made a link, Anything that works for you. Next one, ala. What did you get for ala, Tiffany?
Just mean upon.
Oh yeah, on. Now, the way ala, another word that comes from ala is, same root, is ali. Now what's ali mean? Do you know? High. Ali means high. So ala means on, above something. Okay? So you can make a link there. That's if you know that ali means high, obviously. Ala. Or you might know someone that's called, Ali. You can think of Ali Baba. Ala. And he's high on a flying carpet or something. Anything that works, that links to help you remember these things. B. Shahid. With, okay? And this is a with a tool though. Do you know, I ate pasta with my fork. You're using it as a tool. Yeah? Not, I'm with Fayaz. That's a different type of with. So for example, if I said I ate pasta with Fayaz, if I use be, that means I took Fayaz and I'm actually eating my pasta with Fayaz. Okay, so it doesn't. That's not that type of be. So that would be ma'a, which is a different type of word.
So how would it be? Sorry, again, be.
So be, it's a tool. I'm using. So for example, I'm writing with my pen. That's a tool, isn't it? But I'm reading with Fayaz. I'm not using him as a light to, I'm not using him as a tool. I'm just having company. That's a different type of word. Next one, wa. Razia, next one, wa.
I don't know.
Anyone? And. Yeah. So what is this? Particle. Okay. So we ala, bi, wa, these are all particles. Al is a particle. So next one, ism. Ism, name. Yeah, or noun. If you want to get grammatical, it's a noun, but ism. Like Bismillah. And then we've got the B there. We're using Allah's name as a tool to put blessing in something. So when I eat, I say Bismillah, so that I put blessing. So I'm using Allah's name as a tool in order to bless the food, and so it fills me up, it's good for me, you know, it's not harmful. So now you get the idea of Bismillah. Okay? We translate it as in the name of Allah, but it literally means I'm using Allah's name as a tool to bless something. Okay? Next one, ihdi. Ihdi. Okay, Naveed? Guide. This is, we get this word in Urdu or Punjabi, you've got hadiyat. Do you have this word? What's hadiyat? Is it? Do you use it as, that's hidayat, isn't it? Hidayat, what is the same thing. Hadiyat is a gift. Yeah? So when we say to Allah, guide us, it's as if we're saying, we're not telling him he has to do it, we're saying, please, as a gift from you. It's not something that's incumbent upon you, it's for us to, we need it. As if the little kiddie on the Eid day, you know, on the Eid, he wants his, like ihdi sounds like Eid, doesn't it? So you could make that link. Okay? But this is a command. You're saying guide. Okay? What's that? Noun, particle, verb? Verb. You're telling someone to do something. Yeah? Do that act. Okay? Next one, ihdi. Allah. Allah. There you go. God, whatever. Now the next word I actually want to change. I do apologise. It's still jalasa. Isn't the Quran? It's common, but it's a more common word. Now jalasa means what? He's sat. I get, julus. Julus comes from this word, and I'm thinking julus. You're not doing much sitting on a julus, are you? You're walking down the street for a few hours, but eventually you do get to sit down at the end, don't you? So that's a link. Okay, but there's another word that comes from the same root, which is qa'ada. That's the verb I wanted you to actually memorise, qa'ada, which is in the vocab app. Now, someone made a brilliant link there. Do you know what word that comes from qa'ada? Qaida. No, qaida. Why? Because they're sitting in a place. In Arabic, in modern Arabic, it translates as a headquarters. Yeah, because you're sitting in a location. So that's the idea. So if that's a good link. That's a brilliant link. Qaida, qa'ida. It means to sit. Just imagine them all sitting there waiting. You know, where is he or something. Okay, whatever works for you. Next one, dhahaba. So we've got some verbs now. We're going to dhahaba, go on Farhana. He went, or to go. Whatever way you want to say it. Dhahaba. Kharaja, Shahid, did you get this one?
Yeah, he left.
He left, to exit a place. Yeah, to come out of a place. Hamdun, Naveed.
Praise.
Now this is literally a praise, which sounds a bit strange, but that's how it literally means. A praise. Okay? Arshun, Fayaz? A throne. Abid, enter. What does it mean? You know, what was me? You said it before. You. No, in Arabic, what's the word for I? Anna, yeah. As I said, just think about maybe Anna, woman's name, Anna.
I am.
So, no, not I am, because there's no verb in Arabic. So just I. Anta. You. Just think of an ant saying, accusing you of something. I don't know. Whatever works for you. Okay, anta alamun. For him? A world, yeah. Now this comes from the word ilm. We did this in the opening day. Ilm. What's ilm mean? Knowledge. So alam means something that leads to knowledge. It's a tool to knowledge. So the world is a tool of knowledge. Why? Because by contemplating on the world, by reflecting on the world, we come to the realization that there is God. We come to the knowledge that there's God. That's what alam means. Okay, so it's very, very rich, that word, in its nuances. Okay, malikun? Master. Malik means someone who has power. That's why, malaika means something that's powerful. Angels are very powerful. We've got Malik, which means a king. So it has an idea of ownership and power. Ownership and power. So Malik. And the last one, Muslim. Straightforward. Muslim. So here's some new words. These are the words we're going to use for the next 2 chapters so far. I'm going to put them through. Now, I don't want you to look back at them when we do these sentences. I want you rather to see how you remember. Okay? Now, next grammar point then. Okay? We'll probably finish on this point today. Okay, so we've done the difficult grammar. This one's also difficult, as long as you understand nouns, verbs. In in English, every sentence has to have a verb, must do. And it's either is or it's a different verb. Okay? In Arabic, sentences with is are not verbal sentences. Okay, so we've got 2 types of sentence in Arabic. We've got noun sentences. Noun sentences, they don't have what in them? They don't have a verb. They don't have a verb in them. And then we've got verb sentences, and verb sentences, obviously, what do they have in them? Verb. Okay? So I'm going to give you a sentence. You say, that's impossible. I'm going to give you a sentence then. Muhammadun. So don't look at your books, I just want you to relax and sit back and take this in. Muhammadun Nabiyyun. How do I translate that sentence? Shazia? Muhammadun Nabiyyun.
Yes. You translate as Muhammad is
Fantastic. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now, what's Shazia done here? You say, no, it doesn't say that. It says Muhammad, prophet. But that's not a sentence. Muhammad, prophet. Okay? So what she added? She's added is. And what else has she added? So they're implicit. Muhammad is a prophet. Okay? Who are we interested in this sentence? Who's the topic? What's the juicy gossip in the sentence? We're talking about who? Muhammad. And then the rest of it is it's like I come into a room with all the Auntie G's and say Muhammad, and they go, oh, what about Muhammad? They want the goss now. It's like the headline, isn't it, the newspaper? Muhammad, and then you want to see what's the goss. So the one you're talking about, the subject, that's the subject of the sentence, we call it. Okay. Then this is what we call the news about the thing, which in Arabic is called khabar. Okay, the news. So these are the 2 elements. Important point. Between the subject, the one that you're interested in talking about, and the gossip that you're giving about them, the news, that you have to put between them what? Is. Okay? So this sentence has not got a verb in it. Okay, there's a reason why Arabs don't put a verb in there. I'll talk about that at the end, inshallah. What I want you to do is I want you to go through exercise 3, which is 1 to 6, those sentences. I want you to translate them. Okay? I want you to translate them. We're going to go for another 10 minutes just because of Mother this. We'll probably just finish here going through this. These, we can do that here. We got to exercise. But on the revision class anyway, we're going to go through it all. So be careful of those is's and a's, make sure they're in there. So compare answers, see if you have the same answers. Well then, I like that technique. Yeah, sometimes you just take the 2 words and translate them and then work out after. That's a good method. So sometimes a good method you can do, if you just want your vocab, you can just start translating the words and then go on to the sentences after if you want to do that. It depends which way you like to work.
Yeah, no, remember, like, it's hard to translate, you know, the idea, you know, is of great, is yeah, so it's like, the Muslim is great, but not something big as well, the Muslim is big because they really, do they give you the meaning that the Muslim try to say? No, you won't personally just like, the Quran is
Now I'm going to talk about that. It's very confusing. That's only, remember I gave links between what deen really means. And now you start, it still is complicated even though I'm being explanation. What did I say it comes from? Death. Now it makes sense. If you said the day of religion, so that makes sense at all. So this is why it's important we understand the holistic meaning of the word.
Accountability there.
The form of accountability is we have to see your excel. That's counting things out. That's what So is the owner of? Isn't this is really tricky, isn't it? Well, we usually translate it as, you know, this is Maliki of the Deen. We translate master of the day of judgment. Deen. Where does that?
Yeah, that's why I'm confused.
how would you that's the same. You want to translate it as the same word, the same. So my Lord is, you know, we say, yeah. Anyone else? Okay, that last one's tricky. Is everyone finished? Yeah? Let's go through it together then. Okay? So we're going to say sometimes it's difficult to translate literally. So, Muhammadun Rasulun. Sajid, what'd you get? Oh, sorry, I've jumped. I'll put you on the spot. Hada Kitabun, let's get it. This is a book. Not this is the book, okay, because we haven't got an al there. So we haven't got a there. This is a book. We must have an is when we translate, okay? Next one. Al-Muslimu kabirun. Shazia? The Muslim is? Yeah, now it depends on context. Kabir can refer to old, it can be great, it can be big, it can be, it depends on the context. You say, well, give me a translation. But it depends on what's in the context, you know, the other sentences that are around it, okay? But I'd assume that it means old usually. It refers to age when it refers to people, Kabir, okay? But that's not necessarily the case. Next one, Harun. Al-Qur'anu 'azimun.
The Quran is great.
Great, yeah, the Quran is great. Obviously, now, I gave you all those nuances and meanings behind the words. I'm not expecting you to put all that within translation. We just have a simple bog standard translation, but we understand these, you know, it's got power, it's like, it's solid. The Quran is solid and, you know, firm, and it's, we understand these, but I'm not expecting you to put all that in the translation. So the Quran is great. That's fair dues. Abid. Allah Rahman.
Allah is merciful.
Allah. Now listen to Abid's translation. He said, Allah is merciful. However, I've got Allah Ar-Rahman. I've got an al on the front.
The
So translate it again. Allah.
verse.
Yes, Allah.
Is the mercy.
Yeah, now we need the is between them. So who are we speaking about here? Who's the topic of the conversation? Allah. So, and what we're saying about Allah? He's merciful. So we need the is between the one we're speaking about and the information we're bringing about the thing. And so the is goes between the two. So Allah is the merciful, or all merciful, of course. Those nuances I've said. Okay, next one, Ashahid. Alhamdulillah.
Wasn't sure what it was. Under praise.
Now, we've got al at the beginning, Shahid.
The praise.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a literal translation. Obviously, we don't. So the praise
Belongs to Allah.
belongs to Allah, or is to Allah, or is for Allah. You can translate it any number of ways. So the praise, but however in Arabic, that can translate in a number of ways. So it could be just praise in general. Okay, praise belongs to Allah, or praise is specifically for Allah. Okay, or it could be all praise. Because this al, so we even see here that al does not only translate as the. It depends on the context. Are we speaking about a specific praise? Because it could mean the praise that I'm experiencing right now is for Allah. It could mean that. And that, this is the beauty of the Quran, is that it can convey all three meanings. It's not limited. So when the Arabs are listening to the Quran, they can take it from all those three perspectives. It's not saying one's right, one's wrong. Okay, but when we translate, we have to do that, obviously. We have to limit it. And so it can mean the praise, i.e. the specific praise to me right now, or it can mean all praise, meaning every single praise you can imagine, or it can mean praise as a genus, as a category. You know, praise, as I know it, is for Allah. Okay, next one, Azafran, Rabbi Maliku Yawmiddin.
My Lord is the master of the day of the recollection.
Okay, so, very good. So Rabbi, that ya on the end means my. Okay? You don't need to know that at this level. But so Rabbi, my Lord, my sustainer, whatever you want to translate it as. Malik.
Master here.
Yeah. Now, so who are we talking about here? Who's the subject of the sentence?
My Lord.
My Lord. All the rest is the information about my Lord. So where's the is going to go?
Straight after my Lord.
Straight after Rabbi. So Rabbi, my Lord, is the master or the owner, yeah,
Of the day of
of the day of
the recompense.
yeah, Deen. Now, what's the link here? As I said, Deen means what? It means no. What's it literally? What's the
Debt.
It's like a debt. It's something that you're bound by. So the idea is that in this life, you can live your life as like what you like. Okay, you can do sins, and you think, I'm not going to be responsible for this. You know, I'm not. You know, I don't lose out by doing bad. I cheat people, no problem. But so some people are bound by to live by laws in this life. Other people aren't. They make choices, don't they? Whoever to do. But on the day of judgment, are there different rules for different people? Everyone's bound by the same law on that day. So it's as if Allah is saying to everyone, you might think you can get away with it in this life, but no one's escaping. They're all bound by the laws on the day of judgment. Okay, that's the meaning of deen there. And so it's tricky to, it's usually translated as judgment, the day of doom, I've seen it translated as well. But it is giving you that idea that you can't escape. On that day, everyone's bound and tied. Okay? So we're going to stop there today. What we're going to do is, we didn't quite finish the lesson. The revision class, which is Thursday, online, I'm going to send you by email a link to that. If it's 7 o'clock on Thursday. If you can't make it, it's not a problem, because I will send you the link and you can download it at any time. You can access it online or you can download it. Okay, you've got the choice. And so if you get any problems with that, just contact me. Okay, I'll be sending out on the day a link. It's an email. Just say, click on this, put this link into a page and it will come up for you. Okay, and we'll finish this as well. So my advice is to go, just finish off the lesson. Okay, do as much as you can for the lesson, and we're going to go over it in the revision session, and we're going to recap everything we've talked and spoken about today. Now, I just want to bring this all into a context. Why is this important to know that there are noun sentences and verb sentences in Arabic? So this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. Noun sentences, Allah can express something as a noun sentence, and He can express the same thing as a verb sentence. So when Allah says, for example, Anta, Ana Abdul. Is that a noun sentence or a verb sentence? What's abd mean? Slave. Is that a noun sentence or a verb sentence?
No.
It's a noun. There's no verb there. I am. Remember, verb. I am a slave. An abd. This means that it's a permanent state. When Allah uses a noun sentence, it means it's more emphatic, and it means it's always the case. But He could have also said, for example, instead of saying I'm a slave, He could say Ana a'budu. Ana a'budu, which comes from a strange word to say, it means I worship. I worship. He's using a verb sentence now here. Now, in Arabic, when you use a verb sentence, it's got the nuance that it's not constant, it's not permanent, it's something you're doing over and over again. So when you say I'm a slave, it's a fixed state. It's always the case. But when you say I worship or I act as a slave, yeah, I'm doing it, I'm acting out as a slave, that means it's something that's always reoccurring. Now this is really important in the Quran, because like for example the Fatiha, what does Allah say? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. Those three first verses, that's all a noun sentence, there's not a verb in there. So it's as if Allah is, because Allah could have said, He could have said it as a verb sentence. He could have said to us, praise Allah. He could have told us as a verb, praise Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Master, the most merciful, the most kind, the Master of the Day of Judgment. He could have ordered us as a verb, but He just said praises for Allah as a fact, to show that regardless of whether we praise Allah or not, it's just a fact. Okay, it's the case. Whether we're here or we're not here, whether we do it or we don't do it, Allah is always deserving of praise. He doesn't need it. It's just a fact. You know, some non-Muslims might say, you know, what's this God of yours? He's always wanting you to praise Him. No, He doesn't need your praise. He's not asking you to praise for His sake. He's asking you to praise for your sake. You're the one benefiting. He doesn't benefit from you praising Him. And so it's as if he's using a noun sentence here to say it's a fact. It's not coming in and out of being. But then He says, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka. That's all the rest of the Fatiha is about us. And He uses verbs to show that it's something you can't just take for granted that you alone we worship, you alone we ask for help. There you go, I've done it. No, it's something that you've got to repeat over and over again. It comes in and out of being you worshipping Allah. It's not something that you can just take for granted. It's something that requires effort and repetition and so forth. And so, see the different... So when Allah uses a noun sentence, it's very strong in its meaning, and it means it's permanent. When He uses a verb sentence, it means it's something that's not permanent, it comes and goes in and out of being. And so we always have to, if we see, Allah could have expressed that as a verb sentence, but He didn't. Why did He express a noun sentence? We want to ask ourselves why that is. And so that's the relevance of understanding noun sentences and verb sentences. Okay? Thank you very much. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. عملنا سوء ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا نكون من الخاسرين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.